There is a secret hiding in the fabric of your reality, a truth so profound, and yet so simple that it has been meticulously buried under centuries of doctrine, dogma, and disbelief. It concerns the nature of God, the potential of your mind, and the true architect of our modern world, a man who did not just invent the future but remembered it. His name was Nikola Tesla. We are told that Tesla was a genius of electricity, a master of currents and coils. This is a comfortable, manageable story, but it is a shadow of the truth. The man who held over 300 patents, who dreamed up the alternating current system that powers our civilization, did not arrive at his discoveries through brute force calculation or endless trial and error. His process was far more strange, more mystical. He said his ideas came to him in a flash, as complete, functioning blueprints projected onto the screen of his mind. He could build a motor, run it for weeks, test it for flaws, and even disassemble it, all within the theater of his own consciousness, before a single piece of metal was ever forged. This is not the story of an inventor. This is the story of a seer, a man who learned to tune the instrument of his own brain to a frequency that exists beyond the noise of our consensual reality. What if Tesla's mind wasn't a generator of ideas, but a receiver? A biological antenna capable of picking up a signal that is always broadcasting. And what if that signal, that infinite field of information, is what our ancestors simply called God? This is the secret that dismantles empires, both religious and scientific. For millennia, we have been taught to search for the divine outside of ourselves. We have built cathedrals of stone and scripture, monuments to an external, patriarchal God who sits on a distant throne, judging our every move. We are told we are small, flawed, and separate, born in sin and in need of an intermediary, a priest, a book, a ritual to bridge the chasm between our world and the sacred. At the same time, the high priests of materialism, the dogmatic scientists, have told us an even bleaker story, that the universe is a dead, meaningless machine, a cosmic accident of colliding matter that, through sheer chance, produced a brief flicker of self-awareness on this lonely planet. They tell you that your consciousness is nothing more than a ghost in the machine, a temporary chemical reaction in the meat of your brain, destined to be extinguished forever at the moment of death. Notice the pattern. Both systems in their own language preach the same fundamental lie. You are separate. Separate from God, separate from the cosmos, a stranger in a strange land. But Tesla's life is a blazing refutation of this lie. His visions were not hallucinations. They worked. They transformed our world. His direct, inner experience of a higher order of knowledge yielded practical, world-changing technology. This forces upon us the most dangerous question a human can ask. If God is not in the sky, and the universe is not a dead machine, then where is the source of all this wonder, all this creation? The answer has been waiting patiently inside of you. God is not a being. God is a state of being. It is a state of consciousness. It is the silent, boundless awareness that is looking through your eyes at this very moment. Secret societies, mystics, and shamans have known this for eons. The very word trance means to cross over. To cross over the artificial boundary of the ego, the small, constructed self that says, I am this and not that. Modern neuroscience gives us a map of this inner territory. Dr. Ian McGilchrist, in his groundbreaking work, has shown that our brain is composed of two hemispheres that create two entirely different worlds. The left hemisphere is a tool for survival. It fragments reality. It isolates, categorizes, labels, and analyzes. It sees the parts but never the whole. It is the source of language, linear time, and the relentless inner narrator that defines your ego. Our modern world is a monument to the left hemisphere, a hyper-specialized, disconnected, and deeply anxious civilization. The right hemisphere, however, does the opposite. It sees connections, relationships, and context. It experiences the world as a unified living whole. It is the source of intuition, metaphor, and a sense of belonging. It doesn't see a tree. It sees a node in a vast, interconnected web of life, a bridge between the earth and the sky. When you experience a moment of sudden insight, a flash of creative genius, or that feeling of being in the zone, you are experiencing a temporary shift in dominance to the right hemisphere. You are tasting the world as it truly is. Organized religions are masterpieces of left-brain thinking. They take the direct, right hemisphere experience of the divine, the boundless unity felt by Jesus, Buddha, or Krishna, and they chop it up into doctrines, laws, and hierarchies. They turn the living ocean of God into a collection of bottled water, each with a different label, sold to you for a price. They trap you in the part of your brain that is neurologically incapable of experiencing the very thing you are searching for. Tesla lived on the edge of these two worlds. His scientific mind could speak the language of the left hemisphere, but his visionary soul drew its power from the right. He had discovered, perhaps accidentally at first, how to quiet the chatter of the ego and access the holistic, infinite database of the right brain. This is where knowledge isn't learned, it is remembered. It is where all possibilities exist simultaneously, waiting for a conscious mind to observe them into being. Quantum physics hints at this strange reality, telling us that the universe is a field of potential until an observer collapses the wave into a particle, into a tangible experience. We are not just living in the universe, we are creating it with every act of perception. This is not a metaphor, it is the operating principle of reality. And this knowledge was not a secret to the great masters of the past. It was a truth they were forced to hide in plain sight. Look at Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam in the Sistine Chapel. For centuries, we have seen it as God reaching out to man. But look closer. God and the angels are floating within a shape that is a perfect, anatomically correct cross-section of the human brain. The divine is not in the sky. It is emerging from the very structure of human consciousness. The point of contact is not between two fingers, but between the divine potential within the mind and its manifestation in the material world. Look at the art of the visionary William Blake, who painted God not on a throne, but inside the human skull, holding a compass, the tool of the great architect, creating reality through measure and form, just as our mind creates our world through structured thought. These artists were not just decorators, they were initiates. They were passing down a forbidden truth. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The power that created the cosmos is the very same power that is animating your body and dreaming your thoughts. There is not a God and then you. There is only God consciousness, a single, infinite mind, temporarily forgetting itself by looking through billions of eyes, experiencing itself as a symphony of seemingly separate lives. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a single drop. The illusion of separation is the price of admission to this grand cosmic game. The one becomes many so that it can experience relationship, love, loss, and the joy of rediscovery. Each life is a unique experiment. What happens when the universal mind believes it is a frightened, mortal human? What happens when it believes it is a king, a pauper, a saint, a sinner? It is all a play of consciousness. And the human form is a particularly special vehicle in this play. A dog does not lie awake at night tormented by questions of its own existence. A tree does not ponder the meaning of its life. They exist in a state of pure, unidirectional consciousness. But humans possess a secret power, bidirectional consciousness. We not only know, but we know that we know. We can turn our awareness back upon itself. This self-reflection is not an evolutionary quirk. It is the universe developing an instrument capable of waking up to its own nature. The question, "Who am I?" is the most sacred question ever asked. It is the singular point of light through which the universal consciousness begins the journey of remembering itself. The map for this journey of remembrance is encoded into your own body, specifically in the architecture of your spine. Ancient yogic traditions spoke of this, not as mysticism but as a spiritual science. At the base of the spine resides our survival consciousness, the primal energy of fear, reproduction, and territory. This is where most of humanity is kept trapped, operating on the same basic drives as sophisticated animals, easily controlled by those who manipulate fear and desire. But as consciousness is refined and drawn upward, it activates higher centers. The heart, which opens to empathy and connection. The throat, which empowers creative expression. And finally, the centers within the brain, the pineal and pituitary glands, the fabled third eye. This is not metaphor. These glands are the biological hardware, the transceivers, designed to pick up the subtler frequencies of reality, the dimensions that exist beyond the very limited spectrum of our five senses. Our senses evolved to help us find food and avoid predators, not to perceive the quantum foam or the morphogenetic fields that structure reality. The mind, when tuned through practices like meditation, can perceive these layers directly. This is what Tesla was doing. He wasn't just thinking harder, he was perceiving deeper. He was using his mind as the organ of direct perception it was designed to be. He was a living example of what esoteric traditions call Christ consciousness or Buddha nature. These are not names of special individuals to be worshipped. They are titles for a state of awareness available to every human being. It is the state of full awakening, the operational realization that you are not a separate self, but a unique and irreplaceable expression of the one creative power of the universe. Tesla died alone and in debt, marginalized by a world that was not ready for his truth. He gave us the technology to power our world, but he was trying to show us how to power our souls. He was a harbinger of a new kind of human being, one who has healed the false division between science and spirit, between mind and matter, between self and God. The world he envisioned was not just one of wireless energy, but of awakened consciousness. He understood that our reality is a reflection of our collective state of being. The chaos, the conflict, the destruction we see in the world today is not the result of flawed politics or economics. It is the external manifestation of a humanity that has forgotten who it is. A humanity trapped in the left brain prison of separation, fear, and scarcity. But you hold the key to this prison. The key is not a belief. It is an experience. It begins the moment you decide to stop searching for answers outside of yourself and begin the journey inward. It begins when you sit in silence and dare to ask, what is this awareness that is aware of my thoughts? When you follow that question into the silent stillness behind the noise of your mind, you will not find an answer in words. You will find a presence, a vast, silent, knowing presence, and you will recognize it. You will realize it has been there your entire life, the constant, unchanging witness to every thought, every emotion, every experience you have ever had. That is the beginning of the path. That is the tuning of the receiver. That is where you stop being a victim of circumstance and begin to remember yourself as the co-creator of your reality. Nikola Tesla did not die with a secret. He died as a signpost, pointing the way back home, back to the source, back to the God that has been patiently waiting for you, not in a temple or a book, but in the sacred, silent depths of your own magnificent consciousness. The journey is yours to take.